Good morning. I just want to check the sound that side. Can everybody hear me? See, there's quite a few of you already joined us this morning. All bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as they say. So here goes. Good morning, goeiemorgen, kia ora, all the way from Welcome Bay here in Tauranga, New Zealand. Guys, good morning. My name is Jan Viljoen and you on 30 Minutes with Jan, where we give you a bit of information about New Zealand and what's happening all around here. This morning we will be joined by Vanita. She's our local voice of reasoning, if I can say it that way, all the way from Auckland. She'll be joining us this morning, and for the first time we're going to see if we can cut out all this lag that we normally have on all our live shows. And I believe this morning we will be 100% successful. While I'm waiting for Vanita to join us this side, just a quick few things about me, what I do. In New Zealand, I'm a financial advisor, so I'm the guy that sees that your insurance is done correctly. And I help you with any monies that you want to bring out from South Africa. We have a South African group that we use back in South Africa. I've been using them for many years as a part of what I was offering in South Africa as well. In South Africa, I was a financial advisor as well. So for the past, about 17 years, I've been doing this job. So let's quickly see if we can get Vanita on, because most of my questions here is all about her. I just want to see that we can get her on. Vanita, if you can hear me there, on the bottom you've got a little thing with a face on that you can press and ask to join, and we just allow you from this side. I see a lot of people this morning has joined us from all over Cape Town. Let me see where else we have people from. Cape Town, South Africa. Alright, I hope you guys are from South Africa, otherwise I'll be talking to people who doesn't want to know how to get here, who are already here. So very soon there will be a few rugby games as well, and presumably I believe that the All Blacks are ready this year. And if you are in New Zealand, it's probably a good thing to join up with the local guys. And yeah, they sometimes expect you to shout for the Springboks, but it's not a need. So you can just shout a bit of All Black, and that's always a good thing to be part of a group. The site rugby is quite big in New Zealand. For one or another reason, I'm just trying to get Vanita on here. Okay, I'm still waiting. Vanita, at the bottom you can see there's a little, it looks like head and shoulders of a person, and it's got a little arrow on the shoulder. If you can just tick that, and then you can pop in. A lot of people from Noordwes. Dat is a bit far, Umhlanga, East London, Pitsonderwater, Blackrock. Blackrock is just as well come to New Zealand. I mean, it's all Blackrock, Carltonville, Somerset West. Okay, away Cape Town. Let me see what we have here. I just want to try and see if we can get Vanita on here. For one or another reason, me and her is missing each other this morning. Vanita, just check. I have sent you an invite. It's supposed to appear somewhere on the screen. More people from Centurion, East London, Joburg, Strand. Why do you guys all want to leave South Africa? I mean, ain't that the land of milk and honey? Or is it another land of corruption and rolling blackouts? Yep, that's one of those things. But let's not talk about the old country, let's talk about the new country. Guys, while we're waiting for Vanita to join us here, she's just struggling a bit from her side. I don't know why we are having a little thing. Chantal says Blackrock in the North Cape. Yeah, I think I have been there once. It's a little small little town. If I am, where's Janice? No, Janice. Vanita is already awake there in Auckland. I know we all like to sleep a bit later. She's been working really hard this past few weeks just to get everybody's stuff through. For one another reason, We're struggling to get her on here. Let me quickly see if I can't do this. Let me get Vanita on the other line. This is technology, eh? Alright. Why are there never TVs mounted on walls in New Zealand? It's all walls this side. That is all. Vanita, can you see that where I'm pointing?
No.
Oh, I think you must get on your phone. 'Cause this is I'm running this from my tablet. I see I can't see this on the other side as well. It's not an easy way to do this from a PC. I presume you're on the PC. Am I right? Alright guys, the question was regarding walls in New Zealand. The walls in New Zealand is very flimsy, so I could knock against this thing, but it's like knocking against a rubber, or not a rubber, against a cardboard wall. It is really flimsy. I see in my house that I'm currently renting, there's a lot of hooks in this for pictures and so on, so people must have really known where all the beams is here. I think that Vanita's just going to go up with her phone now and try and get part of us this side. It's a bit of a new thing still for us, this joining each other into the groups and so on. Johan Skuman, we want to come over to fish. Johan, there's tons of fish in the sea. So, and the quotas here is actually very lenient, so you can really catch quite a few fish here. Guys, what we are going to talk about this morning is all about the cost of coming to New Zealand. Good morning, Vanita. I see we've just added you on this side. I had a email from somebody saying that probably they will never be able to come and so on. And I know it costs a lot of money to come to New Zealand, and it's quite expensive to at the end of the day to come here. It's not that easy, and I think the cost that we put out there at a certain time was about in a region between 300,000 to 500,000, and for the normal person, this may look like a heck of a lot of money, but at the end of the day, there is reasons why this amount is there, but it's not overcomeable. So we are going to break this down this morning a bit to explain to you guys why it costs a lot of money, and then we're going to try and break down this whole thing and see, is there a way that we can do it cheaper for you all? So we do not have a magic wand, neither do we have a pot of Vanita, just try that again. For one or another reason we're not added now. I'm going to get Vanita linked up for her face to appear here as well. As I was saying, we do not have a pot of gold this side where we can just dig in and bring every South African over. But let's start with a few of the cost here while we're waiting for Vanita to pop on. First of all, you would need something like a passport. That is non-negotiable. Passports, you need unabridged birth certificates, you need police clearances, and all in all, these will cost about 500 to. I'm just going to work out in rands now. I think it's a good thing that we have the rand value available there for you guys. Good morning, Vanita. There you are now.
Good morning. I didn't realize it was on your phone, Jan. I was doing it through the PC, so I'm sorry.
Oh, no problems on that. I mean, we are learning as we go along.
Yeah, and I realized that I need. I don't know whether you can hear me properly because I realized I need a headset for the sound.
Yeah, I think you are probably a bit softer than me, but now they're always short, so let's not go that way. But thanks for being here this morning. There's a lot of people that's got probably a lot of questions, and we're not going to allow all the questions this morning, but we are going to ask you a few questions regarding immigration.
Sure.
And I think let's start with something is there anything you want to tell the people? I mean, you can probably just tell them that you are also South African. You've been
I
here so
am.
long.
I know, and I don't have much of an accent. In Afrikaans, it's really hard for me to read. I've been here 19 years, guys, a very, very long time. So yeah, very, very settled in New Zealand. Been in Auckland all this time. Yeah, and I'm a licensed advisor, helping quite a few South Africans come over.
I've heard so many good things about you that that's why we decided to use you for Charles, my son, as well.
Yeah.
And when I met you in 2016, from there on until now, the name Vanita pops up. And it's always just praise to thanks, Vanita, and thanks for helping us. And I can't say much more about that, but I mean, on the other hand, is the professionality in what Vanita does is actually brilliant, and a lot of people advises other people to use her. So, and I know there's a lot of advisors out there, and I don't want to say do not use any of the other, but Vanita comes highly, I
Look,
can say highly aangewys. That's the Afrikaanse word there. So,
I have a lot
Vanita,
of, yeah, that's
let's
okay.
take it.
Yeah, sorry. I have a lot of other South African colleagues who are advisors as well, so and they're also
Hmm,
good. So it's not
that's
just me.
right.
But
That's right. Just a few questions. I've got a question regarding medicals. I see I had a price last night for medicals in Auckland, which was $270, roughly about 2,700 rand. How
okay,
much does medicals differ between Auckland and South Africa?
I'm not too sure, but I think it's like between the $3,000 range, 3,000 rand range, and I think
Hmm.
about the $300 range here. I think a lot of facilities here in Auckland, especially, I do know they give you a discount if you do both the general medical and the chest X-ray. But if you do
Okay.
one or the other, it's a little bit more expensive. So you sort of have to
Hmm.
see what works best.
All right. All right. Um, the Immigration New Zealand Skills Visa at current cost about $495. I've just while you were in between phones and the PC, I just started explaining the cost towards what it will cost people to come over, and I
Yeah.
want to bring your cost in at the final end. There's a reason why I don't want to say come without a or immigration advisor, because that I would regard that as not being the best thing to do. I know some people come over and they fill in their own forms, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong. What happens if you get declined?
Well, what happens is immigration looks at declines in a 5-year period, okay? So usually immigration or the case officers take it quite seriously before they actually decline an application. So they do have a second person check just to make sure that, hey, this is something that they are going to do, and the second person is actually checking this before they make that decision.
Hmm.
So usually on that first decline, you looked as a low risk person, okay? On the second decline, you become medium risk. On the third decline, there's an alert that comes up, it's high risk, okay? You obviously don't know this because this is your file with immigration. So this doesn't only affect your travel to New Zealand, but it affects your travel throughout the world. So you've got to carefully think, okay, if I've had a decline in the last 5 years, or I've had something of an issue, maybe look at seeking professional help on your next visa rather than doing it on your own.
That'll be where I call you.
Well, people usually do, or sometimes they attempt to do it on their own. And immigration is
Hmm.
quite good. Is if they actually decline your application, they actually tell you why they've declined it. And if
Okay.
on the second one you don't address it, then you're likely to get a decline again. Okay,
Hmm.
so I think if you can still do it on your own, absolutely. Just be careful and just be aware that this also affects travel anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. Just to be on the thing on doing it your own, when I did my own thing, I wasn't that thorough, and I didn't do my own thing. I was actually, the company that I work for gave me a lawyer to bring me over to New Zealand. So a bit more on that. He gave me certain things to do. So well, a lot of the stuff I had to do as if I did it my own. And the way that
Yes.
I did it, and eventually he came back with me and said, "No, you can't. You will never reach New Zealand if you do it this way." And,
Yeah.
and it's just a different level that you need to do stuff on that I wasn't doing it on. So
That's right. Yeah. I mean, we sort of look at the broader picture. We also look at immigration policy and what's required for the visa type that you're applying for. So there's certain mandatory criteria you must meet to actually go forward with that application. If those mandatory requirements are not met, that's where there's issues that arise.
Okay.
I suppose we don't look at it from a layman's point of view. We look at it from the way immigration itself will look at it with regards to assessing an application.
All right. I just want to say here to Bianca Teron, we will put Vanita's email and contact details afterwards on the website as well, or on the Facebook page as well. And we will also, I will put it down for you on your own question here. Vanita, there's a lot of things, and I may sound stupid this morning because I'm not an immigration advisor. So there's a lot of questions regarding arriving in New Zealand and then from here on going to residence. There's a minimum amount of money you must earn, am I right?
No, well, look, you have to set money aside for all the immigration costs, the visa costs, and so on. However, if you're coming in on a work visa, for instance, okay, there is criteria that need to be met on the work visa, and that same criteria needs to translate to the residence application. So there are certain earnings and so on that need to be met, as well as a certain skill level that needs to be met for your application to be, to be eligible for residence. I mean, I sort of gave you the costs, and I'm sure you will share those costs with, the audience. But yes, you have to be able to be employed in skilled employment, as well as be able to sustain your living, I should say. But I don't know whether you're talking about like a minimum investment, if that's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about a salary. How much money must I get per year from my employer in New Zealand to be able to, I won't say afford, to be able to become eligible for residence?
Okay, so there is a minimum hourly rate that's been set by immigration, and that's on the residence application, and this changes every November. So the hourly rate at the moment is $25. If you are not meeting $25 per hour, you cannot lodge an expression of interest.
All right, no, thanks a lot. That was a very good answer and a flat out answer. I know everybody can relate to that. So if you're under 25, not if over 25, probably.
I mean, under 25, you're going to get a 3-year work visa, but that won't mean that you're eligible for residence.
That's right. I mean, if you're on your 3-year work visa, you probably could get a raise somewhere along the line and hopefully reach that. So it's still not a reason not to come. I was going to quickly go on with the skills visa costs $495 or 4,950 rand. If you take some flights into consideration per person, I'm just working this out on one person. There is a lot of South Africans that come over and only the husband come over and they work for a period of time, and then thereafter they bring the family over. And this is not something that I'm advocating of doing, because it's absolutely horrible to be anywhere without your family. But in the long run, if this is the only way to come over to New Zealand, this is the way to go for it. What is your feelings on that?
Usually one partner comes first, sort of gets the family settled, and then they sort of, the rest of the family come through. I mean, look, it's really a personal choice, I think, of what people want to do. So it's hard to say yes, do it that way, or no, the whole family come. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, but it's all money dependent at the end of the day, and I'm going to give some figures now as well. If you take in flights at about $12,000 or 12,000 rand per person, and you would need about, if you are very skimpy, you'll need about 10,000 rand just to survive your first 2 weeks here in New Zealand. Now, I know 10,000 rand back home sounds like a heck of a lot of money. It's only $1,000 here. So that total comes up to just over 30-odd thousand rand. And that is for you to put your foot ashore in Auckland. So if you take a person like Vanita and let them help you, the cost for that differs between about $1,000 to $2,500. It's all dependent on how much work there needs to be done. Now, I've just taken worst case scenario. Let's say you need a heck of a lot of work done, and that's $2,500. Then your total for one person to arrive in Auckland and have 2 weeks of money here it's about 56,000 rand. So 56,000 rand, then you are here. You should have gotten your job offer, everything else sorted out before arriving, because I mean this will be arriving with an New Zealand skills visa. Is there any lack in what I've just said? Do you think perhaps I'm a bit low? I know the or $1,000 or 10,000 rand for 2 weeks is not a lot of money, but it can be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think, Jan, even though you bring in money and you've already got a job set in, you're not going to get paid until what, another fortnight or so,
That's
you know,
right.
so,
That's right.
and you need money for rent or Airbnb, you know, and I
Hmm.
don't know. So it's probably a little bit more than that. And cost of living
Yeah,
in Auckland is pretty high too.
that's
So,
right.
yeah, yeah,
While I was in my things, I think in the past 3 weeks, somebody has arrived here with very little money on his person, and the job that he was going to get actually said to him he must start 3 weeks later. And this oak was in dire straits because he actually depended so much on getting that first week's payment out, and now he had to start 3 weeks later, which
yeah,
on the one side is bad for him. On the other side, the owner of the business can do that. So you've got to keep these type of expenses, and it's hectic. I mean, really, it's hectic. I don't know if I would survive something like that. And the trouble is, then you have got no money. You just can't get on the plane and go back. So
yeah.
yeah, and I know the community reached out to him, but it's not going to happen to everybody. So rather
Right.
be prepared. Is there anything else you want to tell us this morning? All the dirty
So
secrets of immigration.
So I didn't give you the, like, I mean, I didn't take into, when I gave you the costs, I didn't give you the costs, for instance, like if a person requires a medical waiver or a character waiver.
That's
So
right.
usually that is required at residence stage. So I think that's something that people need to be aware of, especially if they have issues, and that they need to work with somebody for that.
Okay,
You know,
I don't
yeah.
believe you must do that on your own. So,
Yeah,
uh,
those those are pretty technical when it comes to addressing those with immigration.
hmm.
Yeah.
Explain to me medical waiver. When will it be done?
So it really depends. So what happens is for a work visa or for any temporary or permanent visa, okay, I should say that,
Hmm.
immigration assesses your health and they call it ASH, which means acceptable standards of health. So each person applying for a visa, even children, have to have acceptable standards of health. If they don't meet that, this is when immigration goes, please can you go and do some further tests? When they come back with those tests, they would say, oh, well, it's possibly not within the ranges that immigration expects them to be. So they may place conditions on your work visa, for instance, and say, on your next visa, we require XYZ tests.
Hmm.
Or they could place conditions, the next visa could even be residence as well. Now,
Okay. Okay.
if you have serious issues, for instance, serious health issues that are deemed to cost the public health system a lot of money, that's when it becomes a problem. Okay,
Hmm.
and that's where you really need to have somebody advocate as to why you should be granted a waiver so that the case officer can continue assessing your application. And that's what it is. It's like, okay, grant me a waiver so you can carry on assessing to see if you are eligible
Okay.
for. Yeah.
So basically, that person will not be allowed on the government health system. Am I right?
Well, it's regardless, even if you actually hold your own in health insurance and you say, for instance, you have HIV or something like that, right,
Hmm.
which is deemed to cost the system, the public health system, quite a bit of money. It's
Okay.
regardless of whether you can hold your own insurance. Immigration will disregard holding your own insurance, and in probably in that case, it may be declined just based on you not meeting health or ASH.
Okay. Okay. And the waiver for you talked about another waiver that you have, the waiver
The
for
character waiver. The
character
character,
waiver. Yes.
yeah, that's usually on your police certificates, and that's usually when you have convictions.
Like the
Now,
naughty
on
boys
yeah, or doing something really silly when you're young and not thinking about it, you know.
being
Um,
naughty.
So usually you can get away on your work visa with a conviction. But when it comes to residence, and if you do it on your own, you'll find that you won't be able to get away with it. Immigration
Okay.
will ask for a waiver for it. Yeah.
All right. So there could be probably a lot of explaining and reasons why.
Yeah, I mean, like when I do the waiver, like I have a lot of people approach me where they've done just their residence, and what's happened is they've, obviously they've had a conviction and they can't address the conviction, or they've tried to, and immigration gives them the opportunity. They come to me and say to me, "Look, can you address it?" And I do a 7 or 8 page waiver for them. So it's
Okay.
quite
Okay.
expensive as to why they should be granted the waiver to continue the assessment of the residence application.
All right. I want to ask you this one question that popped up here from Angelique. She asked if Anita can briefly explain the difference in visa application between accredited and non-accredited employers.
Okay, so with accredited employers, you need to meet certain criteria to be able to be eligible for that type of visa. Now, with an accredited employer, it's a direct access or pathway to residence. Whereas if you actually have a non-accredited employer, you have to go under the skilled migrant category to be eligible for residence. So what happens with an accredited employer is when you do your work visa, you're actually under more scrutiny with health and character because there's a direct pathway to residence. So that's where you may get asked more questions and so on. With a non-accredited employer, there's obviously less scrutiny because they know you need to be eligible for residence under the skilled migrant category. So there's a bit of leniency, but then obviously when you apply for residence, which is points-based under skilled migrant, then they're going to ask you more questions.
And this pathway to residence is actually, I had a bit of a look at it the other day, and it's actually quite a very nice visa to have. I mean, it's within 2 years you're on permanent residence. Am I right?
Well, no, on residence. So within 2 years, you can get residence. You can only get permanent residence or go directly to permanent residence if you're earning 90,000 or more.
Okay. Okay. So that's where the
So
difference
yeah,
coming.
that's right. Yeah,
And then, I mean, thereafter it's about 2.5 years, and you can start your application. If you're on permanent residence, about 2.5 years application for citizenship.
that's right.
And,
Yes.
and this is what we all want. We want this little black book, and we want to shout all blacks. Am I right?
Uh, absolutely.
So presumably you're a big all black fan. Or should I not go there this morning?
I actually don't watch rugby, so that's okay.
Okay. Mandy really asks, once the waiver is granted, can the visa still be declined?
Well, if there's other issues involved, then yes. So, but if the waiver is granted, then assessing should happen as per normal.
Okay. I see that Golf West has got an interesting question. Can I come work in New Zealand and not apply for permanent residency, just work there permanently, then come home in holidays? And probably you can do that as long as you get a work visa.
So I'll tell you the way it works. Okay, work visa is only temporary. It's valid for 3 years or whatever amount they give to you. Okay,
That's right.
you can apply for residence. A residence has travel conditions on it. That's why the visa label is only valid for 2 years. So you have to travel in and out of New Zealand within those 2 years. But it actually requires you to be present in New Zealand and show commitment for 184 consecutive days. That's when you go to
Right.
permanent residence, okay? Then permanent residence actually has no visa or travel restrictions on it. So you can go in and out of the country as you wish. You don't need
All
to
right.
take up citizenship. It's totally up to you.
But I mean, if you will just want to be here on a work visa for the rest of your life, you could probably do that. But I mean, that will be, I don't want to use the
You need
word
to,
stupid lightly, but it will be defeat the
yeah.
object at the end of the day.
Exactly. And
So,
what would really happen is you'd be churning, and some advisors do churn. And what it means is every 3 years, you're going to have to go through the same process and apply for a new visa all the time. And there's no guarantee that that visa is going to be granted again.
that's right. And that $90,000 per year that you talked about, then that is directly for the person that is the main applicant on the visa holder. Is that for the whole household?
No, it's for the main applicant of the visa, and that's for work to residence. So that's where you go directly to residence after 24
Okay.
months. Yeah.
All right. Vanita, it looks like our time has run out. I say thanks a lot this morning. Is there anything else you want to tell the people?
No, I mean, there's nothing. Sorry, Jan, about the delay. I didn't realize it needed to be
No,
on
no,
my
that's
phone.
fine. But I do realize that we got to do this again.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
it.
always nice to have somebody else here, and I don't need to do all the talking. So,
Jan, trust me, I know it feels like you're talking to nobody, to be honest.
well,
So,
at least
yeah.
there's 166 people at this kind of state listening to what we are saying. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I also want to do a different type of talk with you in the long run regarding living in Auckland.
Yeah.
Because that's part where you can slot in. We're going to slot in people from different towns in New Zealand just to give people an idea. Because people sit in South Africa and they don't really know what's waiting for them this side.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we
all
can
right.
do that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Vanita, thanks a lot. I know you've got a household to run this morning. And
That's
give
all
my
right.
best to the hubby and the kids that side.
I
And we'll
will.
talk soon. All
No
right.
problem. Thanks, Jan. See you.
Thank you. Thanks, babe. Bye bye. All right, guys and girls, that was Vanita all the way from Auckland. Um, Once again, thanks to her for helping us out this morning. Our end has come up, and it's time for me to say the famous words: love you and leave you all, and stay safe in South Africa. Have a good day. Thanks,